Joker, does he kind of remind you of a better version of Tim Duncan when it comes to passer and a better shooter, but also having great fundamentals?
Well, the fundamentals, I would still side with Duncan. I mean, when your nickname is the big fundamental, it's hard to go with somebody else. But Joker is a better scorer, better shooter, better passer. Rebounding-wise, probably the same. Timmy, better defender. Joker takes up room inside. Good rebounder, good offensive rebounder. Yeah, I'm curious how history's going to treat Joker when it's all said and done. Let's say he wins another title, which seemed out of the question here a couple of days ago. But now you've evened the series, and you go back home, and maybe you win Game 5 there. OKC, Dallas, they're going to be favored. Then you're going to have the Celtics. The Celtics are vulnerable. At times unbelievable, but they're also vulnerable. But we've seen this Denver team be vulnerable, losing the first two games at home, and they melted down. They didn't act like champions. I don't think they're a great team this year. Last year, I thought they were a great team. But Joker wins 3 MVPs and 2 titles. Now, all of a sudden, the list gets shorter of what he's on. Where's he going to be with all those other big men? Now, Timmy won 5 titles, if you start there with him. Shaq's got 4. Bill Russell's not in the conversation. Wilt is in there. Who else are you putting in there? Great big men of all time. Akeem's got 2 titles. I don't know how many. Does he have an MVP? I don't even know. Does he have 1 MVP, Marv?
Yeah, 94.
Okay. All right. So Joker then, does he move past Akeem on the all-time list? I mean, he's in the sentence with him. See, Duncan never wanted to be a big man. He always he didn't want to be center. He's a forward. Do I put him in, like he goes into the big man category, but Tim didn't want to be listed as a center. Probably because he knew that there were a couple other really good centers, and then you're fighting for, getting all-star berths, I guess. I don't know why you wouldn't want to say, and it's center, Wake Forest, Tim Duncan. He's like, no, I don't want to be a center. Well, he did have David there for a while, who was the center. Yes, Paulie.
Jokic is in good shape, and the Nuggets are in good shape for the near future. He's under contract for at least 3 more years. Yeah. Jamal Murray's under contract next year. That's a biggie, because then the following year he's free agent. Michael Porter is under contract for 3 years. Aaron Gordon's under contract for 3 years.
Okay.
Their core is in very good shape.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much Joker wants it. Like, I don't know if he aspires to be great. I mean, I think he wants to be a great player. I don't think he cares about what comes along with that. But as far as best big man, if he wins 3 MVPs and 2 titles, is he ahead of Shaq, who won 4 titles and 1 MVP? This is where it gets dangerous when you're categorizing, because a big man now is not the way a big man used to be. We know that. I mean, he's shooting threes. His ability to pass, he's a point center, which seems crazy to say that, but he is. And I don't know, it always feels like when we do this, you're denigrating somebody. You're bringing somebody down instead. You're trying to elevate somebody to put them in a category, but you got to bring somebody down. It's like putting guys in the top 10 of all time. If I can't put 15 guys in the top 10, but it feels like that's what we try to do. Like, is Steph Curry in the top 10 now of all time? He's the greatest shooter of all time. I guess given his range, is he just outside the top 10? See how I did with that, Todd? Like outside?
That was nice.
Shoots
that was
outside?
nice.
Thank you, Todd. Seeing if you're awake. Yeah, Paulie.
One thing I think cannot be overstated with Shaq is image, personality, star power. There might be other centers who are better, but first 10 years of Shaq, he was one of the focal points in all of sports worldwide. And when you tuned in, is the backboard coming down? Is he going to knock someone senseless? Yeah. He was a tune-in factor and a unique individual. Like Wembanyama is different, but he has, the unique factor. Shaq was.
Yeah, but he's not in L.A. He doesn't play with another superstar.
No, I'm saying more Shaq. There was a point where Shaq was.
Yeah, but nobody's tuning in to watch Wembayama. They're not, because the team's not any good. You'll watch highlights of him. Shaq was playing for one of the premier franchises in all the sports. And leaving Orlando, going to the Lakers, everything that went along with that, with Kobe being there, with winning titles, and they only won 3. Like, we look at that and say they won 3. Because of all the attention Shaq got, we expected more from him. Probably like an artist who gets a lot of attention, then you go, have you ever won a Grammy, or you a Hall of Famer, or you sold how many millions? You get a lot of attention, and then we go, what kind of results have you produced? I mean, D. Wade won that title with Miami. Shaq was on the team, and Shaq had one of the top 10 players of all time, and Kobe there. And maybe the greatest coach in NBA history with Phil Jackson with him. I think we expected more out of Shaq. And maybe it's not fair, but that's what happens with the big guy. You always expect more. But as far as being a social phenomenon, he kind of reinvented it or invented it of you can do it this way. And we liked the big guy. He was fun. He was different. He's making music. He's in movies. But then with that, what did we say? Shouldn't you be practicing your free throws? Whenever Shaq would be in a movie or he'd put out, some kind of music, Shaq Fu, and then we go, you should be shooting free throws. We didn't do that to anybody else. We did that to Shaq. Yes,
that's Hack a Shaq.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody else had that either, where it's like, just foul that guy, he can't hit any.
Yeah. But I don't know if... Is KD in the top 10 now? Like, KD, I saw where KD said, he was kind of surprised that he came to the realization he's not going to get credit for winning those titles in Golden State. I'm like, you're just realizing it now? Yes, you jumped on board. Granted, he was great. Finals MVP a couple of times. He was great. But no, you're not going to get credit because you joined another team that had won a title, that had eliminated you the previous year, that had won 73 games. Yes, Mark.
You took all the points.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But is anybody playing now going to be a top 10 player when they're all said and done? Because what happens is, like, Larry Bird is going to come out. May not like it, but Larry Bird's going to come out. Does anybody else come out? Jerry West, does the logo come out? Does Oscar, who won one title, come out? Like you have to base this in reality of, is Steph going to go in instead of Oscar? Is KD going to go in instead of Larry Bird or Jerry West? And you have to have a real conversation about that, because there is that possibility. When Giannis is all said and done, Joker all said and done. And it feels like we've held on to that top 10 where we're not letting anybody in. It's like, nope, toll booth, not getting through here. But feels like next couple of years, I'm curious to see if you get maybe a younger writer's opinion of, the top 10. And it might change. Like Bill Russell and Wilt, I wouldn't put them in with modern basketball. I mean, they were obviously great. Russell, unbelievable. Wilt was like Babe Ruth with his stats. But you'd almost have to go 1970 on if you're going to have this kind of conversation. Because Russell has to be in there because he won. And he played for the Celtics. Wilt, with, just the sheer, stats that he put up. You have to have it. But then you have Mike and you have LeBron. Magic's in there, Bird's in there, Tim Duncan's in there, Shaq's in there. So, it starts to get a little cluttered when it comes to, is somebody going to go in and is one of our all-time greats going to drop out? Yeah, Marv.
Sorry, going back to Shaq, but the Western Conference was crazy during that era.
Yeah.
We had the Spurs were really good, the Kings were really good, the Blazers were really good. So them getting 3 titles to me seems like, man, that's a big accomplishment. But they just seemed so dominant at that time. They went 15-1 in the playoffs one year, where they beat the Blazers, the Kings, and the Spurs. They swept them. They only lost to Allen Iverson in one game.
That was game one.
Yeah, it was game one. The step-over game.
Okay, but do you think Shaq accomplished what we thought he was going to?
No.
And that's that. How many players in any sport do you say, gosh, he should have been a lot better? Yeah, Mark.
Especially with Shaq and Kobe.
Yes.
They won their 3 rings. Kobe was 23.
Yeah, I know.
When they swept the Nets, their three-peat, Kobe was 23.
They should have won at least 6 titles. They really should have.
That's
Poor people in Los Angeles listening. It's like, oh, God, this is so tough.
Yeah. And and there was a lot of jealousy there.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Kobe was 23.
I know. Crazy.
Not even prime Kobe yet.
Yes.